من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين. أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون. واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون. فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون. أولم ير الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم. الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون. أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم. إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون. فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. صلى الله عليه وسلم.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وسلم. برائے خوشنودی محمد وآل محمد بآواز بلند صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وسلم.
हाय खाक है सर में ज़ैनब है सफर में. हाय खाक है सर में ज़ैनब है सफर में. कब होगी रिहा कैद से कब होगी रिहा कैद से कब जाएगी घर में ज़ैनब है सफर में. हाय खाक है सर में ज़ैनब है सफर में. एक वक्त था शहजादी थी हाय कूफे की ज़ना. एक वक्त था शहजादी थी हाय कूफे की ज़ना. किस हाल में आई है ये किस हाल में आई है ये बाबा के शहर में है खाक है सर में, ज़ैनब है सफर में। जिस पर्दे का ज़ामिन था अब्बास दिलावर, जिस पर्दे का ज़ामिन था अब्बास दिलावर, है ज़ख्म उसी पर्दे के, है ज़ख्म उसी पर्दे के, आबिद के जिगर में, ज़ैनब है सफर में। है खाक है सर में, ज़ैनब है सफर में। बुरके में जो पाला था हाय बिल्ते अली ने, बुरके में जो पाला था हाय बिल्ते अली ने, तोड़ी है सीना किसने, तोड़ी है सीना किसने, अकबर के जिगर में, ज़ैनब है सफर में। है खाक है सर में, ज़ैनब है सफर में। तारीख तेरी जंग को दोहराती रहेगी, तारीख तेरी जंग को दोहराती रहेगी। असग़र जो लड़ी तुमने, असग़र जो लड़ी तुमने, नन्ही सी उम्र में, ज़ैनब है सफर में। है खाक है सर में, ज़ैनब है सफर में। है तन पे फटे कपड़े और गाल भी जख्मी, है तन पे फटे कपड़े और गाल भी जख्मी। आबिद ने उतारा जो, आबिद ने उतारा जो सकीना को कब्र में, ज़ैनब है सफर में। है खाक है सर में, ज़ैनब है सफर में। है मातम शबीर को और रोकने वालों, है मातम शबीर को और रोकने वालों, ज़ैनब की ये सुन्नत है, ज़ैनब की ये सुन्नत है, मोमिन की नजर में, ज़ैनब है सफर में। है खाक है सर में, ज़ैनब है सफर में। बारी दिगर सलाम।
जमाना पुरखुलूस सलवार।
मुझे मतलूब होगा जाम लेना जब भी कौसर का सलाम ऐसा पढ़ूंगा दिल भर आएगा पैगंबर, सलाम ऐसा पढ़ूंगा दिल भर आएगा पैगंबर, सलाम ऐसा पढ़ूंगा दिल भर आएगा पैगंबर। ज़मीन करबला क्या पूछना है तेरे मुक़द्दर का, है तुझ में आज तक महफूज फरमाया पैगंबर, है तुझ में आज तक महफूज फरमाया, है तुझ में आज तक महफूज फरमाया पैगंबर। तबे दरिया लंबे दार भी काम आ गया है, बस अब अल्लाह हाफ़िज़ हज़रत ज़ैनब की चादर, बस अब अल्लाह हाफ़िज़ हज़रत ज़ैनब की चादर। तेरी गैरत को आखिर क्या हुआ, कुछ तूने सोचा भी, बड़ी महफिल में कैसा तज़किरा ज़ैनब की चादर, बड़ी महफिल में कैसा तज़किरा ज़ैनब की चादर। घड़ी भर भी रबाब आराम से सोने नहीं पाती, वो जब करवट बदलती है ख़यालात है, वो जब करवट बदलती है ख़यालात है का मुझे मतलूब होगा सलवा अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद। आमद अहले बैते पैगंबर की शाम में गेसू खुले हुए हैं हज़ाए इमाम में, सर पीटती है फातिमा दारुसलाम में। ज़ैनब ये नवा करती है बलवाया, ज़ैनब ये नवा करती है बलवाया, ज़ैनब ये नवा करती है बलवाया में। लोगों खबर करो मेरे नाना रसूल को बलवे में शिमर लाया है बिनते बतू, बलवे में शिमर लाया है, बलवे में शिमर लाया है बिनते बतूल को। नाना तेरी नवासी के सर पर रिदा नहीं, और अहले शाम देखते है कुछ हया नहीं। आबिद गरीब मरता है ताब से दवा नहीं, बेहोश नन्हे बच्चे आबो ग़िज़ा, बेहोश नन्हे बच्चे आबो, बेहोश नन्हे बच्चे आबो ग़िज़ा। दिल सो के कांपते हैं बदन थार थराते हैं, अब सामने अजीज के सादात जा, अब सामने अजीज के सादात, अब सामने अजीज के सादात जाते है। एक रसन में पारा गले व मुसीबता, रोते हैं गोदियों के पले व मुसीबता, बस में सितमगारों के चले व मुसीबता। खाको अज़ामू पे मली व मुसीबत, खाको अज़ामू पे मली व, खाको अज़ामू पे मली व मुसीबत। मुश्किल ख़त्म उठाना था इसे दिहा में, यूं इतरते नबी गई बलवाया में। ज़ैनब तड़प के ऊँट पर करती थी ये बयान, दरबार में तलब हुए सादात नागहा, ऊँटों से उतरी बीबियां कह कह के अलमा, पेश यजीद ले गए जालिम कुशा, पेश यजीद ले गए जालिम, पेश यजीद ले गए जालिम कुशा, पेश यजीद ले गए जालिम कुशा कुशा। सामान जश्न आम था दरबार रे आम था, और नंगे सर हुसैन का कुनबा तमा, और नंगे सर हुसैन का कुनबा, और नंगे सर हुसैन का कुनबा तमाम था। नागाह बढ़ के शुमरे लई ने किया सलाम, बोला कि ऐ अमीर ये शादी का है मुकाम, उम्मीदवार खिलतो जागीर है गुलाम, हाजिर सर शहीदों के हजरत, हाजिर सर शहीदों के हजरत आना, बढ़कर पुकारा मुर्रा के अपना जिगर है ये, ले हम शबी है खास पैगंबर का सर है ये, वल्लाह इसके रंजो अलम में बसत बुका, फर्जंद बुतरा 72 जगह गिरा, ये जिक्र था के हश्र का सामान हो गया, घबरा गया यजीद के क्या खजा, घबरा गया यजीद के क्या, घबरा गया यजीद के क्या खजा। देखा तो हुनमुला भी बहुत शाद, आता है सर एक छोटे बच्चे का हाथों पे ला, सर एक छोटे बच्चे का हाथों, सर एक छोटे बच्चे का हाथों पे ला, है खून हल्क हल्क के ऊपर जमा हुआ, नन्ना समूह प्यास के मारे खुला हुआ, बच्चों में दूध दोनों तरफ है भरा हुआ, सूरत तेरे जुल्म के गले पे पड़ा, सूरत तेरे जुल्म के गले पे पड़ा, सूरत तेरे जुल्म के गले पे पड़ा। इस खून पर यजीद ने जिस निगाह की, इससे भी जब्त होना सकारों के आह की, बोला बता के इसने भला क्या थी खता, तूने इसे नशाना किया तीर जुल्म का, बच्चे पे भी ना खाया तरस तूने बेहया, ये नन्ना सा गला हो तीरे नोके, ये नन्ना सा गला हो तीरे नोके, जफा बदला तो किस फलक का ये मैं मुनीर है, बानो पुकारी पढ़ के ये मेरा सगीर है, हैरा खड़े थे सब हरम शाह मशरक़ैन, मेहर सुकूत लब पे ना शिकवा न शोर शैन, ज़ैनब ने देखा तख्त पा ना खा सरे हुसैन, बेसाख्ता तड़प कर ये करने लगी, 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 है ना मौत आई मुझे ना, ये शाम में भैया मेरा सलाम लो दरबारे आम, भैया मेरा सलाम लो दरबारे आम, भैया मेरा सलाम लो दरबारे आम में।
मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद I would like to invite Maulana Sheikh Sahab on the member. From Muhammad wale Muhammad Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wale Muhammad. For the Shahadat of Islam and the marhumeen of this gathering, and especially Marhuma Aqila Begum Binte Mir Imdad Hussain, who is the mother of Brother Khurram Raza, please recite a Surah Fatiha. حسبنا الله نعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين سيما بقية الله الأعظم روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Life, Allah has said, is in pain. يا أيها الإنسان إنك كادح إلى ربك كدحا. You are struggling to Allah. And it is full of pain and struggle and suffering. We all go through that. And everyone gets different types of pain, different types of problems in life, different types of stress. Not everyone gets everything, and not one person gets all. Everyone gets their own share of problems. And in the midst of these problems, what we want to learn is how to deal with these problems so we can find a comfort, rahat, in this dunya. How can we find that comfort? So, what type of comfort should we have? What do we mean by this? Comfort. And what is the extent of the comfort we should have in this life? As an example, we have this example from Ayatollah Bahjat, who said, in reply to this, as to what is the comfort, basic comfort that every moment should have. He says, look at a child. Look at your children, young children, a toddler. Look at those children. How much comfort do they have in their parents that their parents are going to provide for them? That they are going to get their meal tomorrow. How much comfort do they have in that? If a mu'min can have the same trust in Allah that He will provide for him tomorrow without worrying about it, that's the extent of comfort every mu'min should have. Can we have that much trust in Allah that He will provide for us tomorrow, just like our children have in us? And who are we? We don't know. We have a job today, tomorrow we'll be jobless. But can we have that same trust in Allah? So that leads to comfort. So now, we want to gain comfort in the midst of all these problems that we have. We want to control these problems and manage these problems and deal with the suffering that we have. That is our goal in life. Now the reason I raise this subject is because this is one of the sifat and the quality that is necessary for anyone to be an ashab of Imam Hussain. If you want to be from the Ansar of Imam Hussain, you need to know how to control and how to manage pain in your life. if pain has devastated you, you can never stand with Imam Hussain. Because pain has devastated you and your faith is now shaking. How can a person whose faith is shaking stand with Imam Hussain? It's not possible. So one of the things that we see in the companions of Imam Hussain in Karbala is that they all had managed the pain and stress and the discomfort that they had in their life. They knew how to deal with it. And if you do not deal with this problem, there are 5 things that will happen to you. One of these 5 things will happen to you. A person who doesn't manage suffering in their life. 5 things happen to them. What are they? I'll just go through it. Number 1 thing is that that person will be hasty in what he does. He'll be hasty. He'll always do things in haste. Every decision he makes will be in haste. Why? Because he doesn't know how to deal with pain. It's like someone who is hurt or who feels pain and they just don't know what to do, so they just start taking Tylenol as much as they can. And so what happened is that he's just hasty. He's unable to think. Number 2, they become impulsive. Whatever comes along, they accept it. They accept things very easily. Second thing that happens to a person who doesn't know how to deal, he's an impulsive person. So whenever you see an impulsive person, you know that he is unable to deal with the problems in his life. Number 3, the third thing that happens to a person who doesn't know how to deal with problems in their life is that he becomes superstitious. Yes, he becomes superstitious. You start reading horoscopes in the newspaper and start believing in that. You start believing in hocus pocus and astrology and things like that. Why? Because of the fact that you're unable to deal with problems and you want to get out of it. Just so you can do that, you start believing in superstition. Third thing. Fourth thing that happens is that a person who doesn't know how to deal with problems becomes angry. He has anger issues. You see people who are hot-headed, angry, and they get angry all the time. Why is that? Because they're unable to deal with the problems in their lives. And those problems have overwhelmed them. So now the only way for them to take it out is through anger. They don't know how to deal with problems. And the 5th quality of a person who doesn't know how to deal with problems is that he loses his morals. He loses his moral compass. He will compromise halal and haram. Just because he doesn't have a job, he will go towards haram. Just because, for example, you see that there's a problem with he thinks that there's a problem with his rizq and that he's not able to earn money, so they will leave Islam. That's why you see many people, just because they are in problems and don't want to be suffering or under stress, they leave Islam. They leave their hijab. Why do women leave hijab? Because they don't want to be in a society like this, being targeted. And so what they do is that they leave Allah, they anger Allah. They anger Allah. Why? Because they lost their morals. These are people who do not know how to deal with problems in life. That's why we do these things. Why do we leave Islam for? Why do we leave ahkam for? Because of the fact that we don't know how to deal with these stress in life. So we lose our morals and our deen. And there we go. So these are 5 things that happens to a person who doesn't know how to deal with problems. So we want to learn how to manage problems, and to know that and to manage that. Yesterday I said that we need to think about our pain and sufferings. Think about it. Why is it happening to you? First of all, what is your share of problems? Look at your stress in life. Go on and list them out. What is my stress in life? This is my stress. This is my stress. This is my problem. This is my suffering. Write it down. And start thinking about it. Thinking deeply about it. And then when you start to think about it, you will be able to find answers there. Now, why does this pain happen? Yesterday I mentioned one point, and today I'll just mention 4 reasons why pain and suffering happens to us. I mean, from Allah, not from us. As I said, if you have problems because of yourself, that's your problem. If you are addicted to drugs and music, and you disturb yourself, and you become, you create problems for yourself, that's your own problem. Allah did not give you those problems. There is no benefit in those problems. If you get suffering from addiction, that is your problem. That you're not going to get anything out of it. There's nothing beneficial that's coming to you from that. But the problems Allah gives and the hardships Allah gives, there is benefits in that. So we need to understand, why does Allah give these problems? And then look at our problems and see which type of problem do we have. Now, I'm not going to mention all the reasons and all the ways that these problems happen. I'll just mention some of them today so that we can have an understanding. One of them I mentioned yesterday, which is very essential and it's very basic, is the fact that pain and suffering is a part of our creation. It stems from the fact that we have choice. We have ikhtiyar. Ikhtiyar leads to pain and suffering. Because in ikhtiyar, you have to have 2 things that you like and you have to choose one of them. So when you choose one, you lose the other. When you lose the other, then you feel pain and you feel suffering. This is natural outcome of having choice. That's why Allah says that when you wanted choice and free will, it comes with a price. And the price is suffering. Because when you choose one thing, you are going to not have the other. You don't have the other. And that is what we want. You know, we are going to take a small break here and move everyone forward because there are people standing in the hallway wanting to come inside. There is room over here and you are protected by me from this screen in front of me. So you can come close here. So the first reason for pain is in our own creation, is the fact that we have choice and ikhtiyar. Ikhtiyar leads to pain. So that's one. I explained that yesterday. Let's go through 4 other reasons why we have pain and why we have discomfort and stress from Allah. Not from us, from Allah. Allah gives this to us. Why does He do that? Second reason that He does that, and He wants us to go through pain, is why, meaning not have comfort in this life, is so that He can improve our ibadat. Ibadat depends on comfort. If you are unable to deal with your pain, if you're unable to deal with the issue of comfort in life, then you will not be able to do ibadat of Allah. It will be very difficult for you to do ibadat of Allah. You know, when you stand for prayer in trouble, in difficulties, unable to manage your problems, then you're not praying for Allah. You're just praying so that you can get out of these problems. Your intention is not Allah. Your intention is, Allah, help me to get out of this problem that I'm in. That's your intention. And this is not ibadat. This is not ibadat. La ilaha illallah. Let's look at this. My friends, there is no comfort in this life. I told you. Let me read some hadiths now for that. From Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam. Imam says, Imam says that la rahata li mu'minin ala al-haqiqa. Because there's no rahat, there's no comfort for a mu'min in reality. There is no comfort illa inda liqa'illahi ta'ala, except when he meets Allah. Until he meets Allah, there is no rahat for us. There is no comfort for us here. So, in ibadat, How does he do that? He said this hadith from our Imam is in his book called Misbah al-Sharia. Misbah al-Sharia is a book that is attributed to Imam Sadiq, that he wrote it himself. And in this book, which is Misbah al-Sharia, he says, وَتَفْسِيرُ الْعُبُودِيَّةِ, in explanation of what is ibadat. What is ibadat? He says, Bazlul Kull. It means to spend everything. Bazlul Kull, spend everything you have. This is real ibadat, is when you spend, when you exhaust yourself, give up yourself, everything to Allah. This is ibadat. True ibadat, right? وَسَبَبُ ذَلِكَ مَنْعُ النَّفْسِ أَمَّا تَحْوِي وَحَمَلُهَا عَلَى مَا تُكْرَهُ. And the method of reaching that, the way to reach that, is to stop your nafs from what it likes and to make it do what it doesn't like. Meaning yourself, to make yourself like those things that you don't like, and to make yourself stop from things that you do like. You know, this is how ibadat happens. You know, you want to, for example, ibadat happens when you like something and you see that I like it, stop doing it. You know, I like playing games, stop it. Let go of it. See, it's not easy, right? Letting go of things that you like and doing the things that you don't like. It's hard. But then he says, okay, how do you get there? How do you do that? It's so hard, Allah. Imam, help us to understand that. He says, وَمِفْتَاحُ ذَلِكَ. And the keys to that. Keys to that is what? تَرْكُ الرَّاحَةِ. Is to leave comfort. Let go of comfort. Sacrifice your comfort. That is the keys for ibadat. You need to sacrifice it. Any place you feel comfortable, that comfort zone you have, sacrifice it. If you're not sacrificing it, then this is not ibadat. This is not worship. You know, you are just worshipping yourself then, basically. Because you're worshipping what you like and what you are comfortable in. Not be uncomfortable. He says, tarkur raha. And this is it. So ibadat, if you want to worship Allah and serve Allah, it means that you need to do things that you don't like and to stay away from things that you like. This, my friends, look at it in your life. How much of it are we doing? And the ibadat we have received, that our ibadat is only when we have comfort. Look at this. If we are uncomfortable, then we get angry. For example, if you're around children who are making noise and we have to pray, we're upset at those children. Why are you upset at those children for? What have they done wrong to you? They're just being children. That's how Allah made them. Let them be that. Why are you upset? But I don't like to pray like this. Oh, maybe you should pray the way you don't like. Maybe that's how Allah likes it. You see that? That, to become happy with that. Not that I tolerate it, to become happy with that. This is ibadat. That's when we will grow in our faith. Otherwise, if we are just doing what we like, this is not either Islam or like this. You see a lot of people in this world in this place are like that. They practice Islam and they do Islam because they like those things. For example, you might have heard this from certain people when you speak about certain things in Islam and they respond to you in this way. For example, you speak about fasting, he says, I think fasting is a great thing. You know, it's a very healthy option of lifestyle. And, you know, I love fasting. So you fast, why? Because Allah said so or because you like it? You see, a lot of times we don't make that difference. We need to see why we are doing this ibadah. Is it for Allah or is it because I like it? You know, have you heard about Sayyid Murtaza? Sayyid Murtada was an alim in our history, very well known alim in our history, in Najaf. He was one of those alims in the early ulama, from the Qadim, from the early ulama that we have. He is the brother of Sayyid Radi, who compiled Nahjul Balagha. He is the older brother, and he was the marja at the time, and a great scholar who has written and developed the fiqh of Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq. It's amazing that on his deathbed, the story is about when he was dying. On his deathbed, he came there and said that, I want you to redo my prayers. He told his students, redo my prayers, please. And they said, what do you mean redo your prayer? You are the marja. If your prayer is wrong, then what about us? We are the muqallid. Then we are wrong all by itself, if your prayer is wrong. He says, why? Why do you ask us to do that? We saw that you loved prayer so much. When you see a marja pray, you see his mind, his focus, his heart is in his prayer. So these students who are his students, who are ulama, they said, but we saw you pray. You love your prayers. And Sayyid Murtaza said, that's exactly the reason. I love prayers, and I don't know if I did it because I loved it or because Allah wanted me to. I am mashkook here. You see, that far a person goes to make sure that what I'm doing is because Allah said so, not because I want to, not because I like to. That should get out of there. And this is the reason why. One of the ways, the reason that pain, Allah gives us pain, is so that our ibadat can become real. He gives us problems so that we worship Allah in those problems. And the higher you go, the harder the difficulties will become. I mean, really, if it was easy for Imam Hussain on Ashura, then this whole, what we have here, would not be here. It would disappear. Nothing was easy for Imam Hussain. Nothing was easy for Imam Hussain. It was hard. And Imam Hussain went through that for Allah. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So that's the second reason why Allah gives us problems. The third reason He gives problems to us and suffering to us in our life, the third reason, my friends, is to make us fresh again. You see, we, human beings, if left alone, start to decay. We start decaying. Our ruh starts to decay. Our inside starts to rust and die away and become rotten. In order for us not to rot, pain is necessary. Suffering is necessary. Suffering is there. Hardships are there in order for us to rejuvenate ourselves, to become fresh again, to get out of abas, of vanity, and to come into usefulness. That's why it's there for. Let me explain that now. Let's send the salawat. Let me tell you, something about your own life right now, something that you do every day. Allah has appointed a rizq for you, right? He's determined rizq, maqdur. This rizq is maqdur on Laylatul Qadr. You're going to get this much amount of rizq. But did you know that rizq may reach us or may not reach us? It's dependent on certain things. The rizq might reach us, might not reach us. Imam Ali said that, this is for you all. He says, if you buy bread, the bread that you eat, if you buy bread from the stores, then you get 0% of your risk. Allah stops your risk from coming to you if you buy bread from stores. If you go to Pick and Save and buy bread, you don't get risk. Allah stops your risk. Imam Ali says He stops your risk. If you make your bread at home with dough, you get the dough and make the bread at home, then Allah will give you half of your risk. Allah will give you half of your risk that's coming to you. If you get the dough and make the bread yourself, you will get half of your risk. And then if you get wheat and mill the wheat and make flour yourself and then make the bread with that flour and then eat it, then Allah will give you 100% of your risk. Why is that? Why should we go through all this hardship of getting wheat and milling it at home and making this thing and all of these things? To go through that, we can just go to, the halal store and get, bread that's already made. Trust me, those people who are making it are experts. And they make it good. And when we make it, it comes out a little bit, amateurish. But the fact is that it says, no, your risk will come when you make the bread at home. Why is it that we have to go through all these hardships to make bread at home? It's so that everyone in the house understands that this morsel of food that you're eating, how much hard work goes into it in order for it to be made for you. Risk will come to you when work is done. When hard work is done for it. This lifestyle we have is anti-Islam that we're living, that we want everything easy. Because the easier it comes, you have no appreciation. You throw it away in the garbage also that fast. How easy it is for us to throw away bread. Kids, it's easy for them to throw away. Why? Because there's no effort that went into it. It's very cheap. It's the cheapest item on the table. What's the use of it? Why don't we appreciate it? Because we haven't worked hard for it. That's why. We never worked hard for it. Now let me read this hadith from Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi salam. This hadith is known as hadith mufaddal. This hadith is known as hadith mufaddal. It's a very long hadith. In this, a small bit of that hadith I will read for you. Imam says, Ja'ilul khubz mutahazziratan la yanalu illa bil hilati wal haraka. Allah has made khubz, bread, difficult, that you cannot gain it unless you make plans and preparations for it and work for it. And do work for it. You see, the making of bread is not easy. You get the wheat and make it into flour and then make it into dough. And then after you make it into dough, then you start the bread process and all of these. It's not easy. It's one of the hardest things on the table to make is the bread. It takes a lot of hard work. Imam is saying that Allah made this bread to be that لِيَكُونَ لِلنَّاسِ فِيهَا شُغُلٌ, in order that this making of the bread can be work for the people, that they can busy themselves in that, they can get mashghul in that. يَكُفُّهُ أَنْ يَخْرَجَهُ الْفَرَاغ, so that they can get out of this empty time that they have. Allah wanted to occupy your empty time with hard work. He says, make your food and go through difficulties making your food, so that you don't have empty time on your hand, so you don't have free time on your hand. And so, arat min al-ashra wal-abas, from vanity, from uselessness. Allah wanted to take you out of uselessness. That's why He made bread making so hard for you. Then He says, Ala tara sabiya yudfa'u ila al-mu'addab. Have you not seen a toddler that is taken to a trainer, someone who does adab, teaches adab. You know, like youngsters, when you go there, this is the Islamic habit of kindergarten. When a child reaches a toddler age, he should be sent to a trainer in order that he be trained to get used to knowing what work is, how things are done. So he says, have you not seen that kid who is sent to a trainer so that he can be trained? He says, وَهُوَ طِفْلٌ, and he is a child. He's just a child. لَمْ تَكْمُلْ ذَاتَهُ لِلتَّعْلِيمِ. He's not ready for education yet. He's not old enough for education. He's just a toddler. But you send him to get trained. You send him so he can learn adab and adab. He can learn that. He says, كُلُّ ذَلِكَ يُشْتَغَلُ عَنِ اللَّعْبِ وَالْأَبَسِ. All of that is so that he can not have all free time just to play all day long. You do this so that you don't have all day long to play and just waste your time. That's why you do that, in order that his time is occupied in being trained and not be in just free time. الَّذِينَ رُبَّمَا جَنَيَ عَلَيْهِ وَعَلَى أَهْلِهِ الْمَكْرُوهَ الْعَظِيمِ. And because what that does is that having free time and having nothing to do is going to make him grow up such that he is going to become harmful for himself and everyone around him. He will do jinayat, and he will become a criminal against himself and those who are around him. He grows up to be spoiled. That's how it is. And then he says, هَكَذَا إِنسَانٌ. Same is with adults. The same thing is with adults. He says, لَوْ خَلَى عَنِ الشُّغْلِ. If they are free from work and keeping themselves busy, he says, لَخَرَجَ مِنَ الْعَشْرِ وَالْأَبَسِ. They will be useless. They'll become useless. This uselessness will make them spoiled, rotten, decayed. This decay and this rottenness comes about when you don't do hard work. Lifestyle that Allah wants mankind to live is a lifestyle of hard work. You know, we all have microwave, and this is the microwave generation, you know, that even our food is nuked. You know, and that's how we eat our food also. But that's not how Allah wants. It's not good for us as human beings. It's not good for us as human beings. We are supposed to be working hard for everything. And when we get spoiled, then after that, even if you teach Islam to that person will never be able to reach the heights of Islam or Iman. So the reason Allah gives us problems and difficulties is so that it can rejuvenate us and make us fresh from the decay and rottenness that's happening inside of us through not working and through uselessness in our life. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Imam Ali gives the example of the two trees. One tree that grows in water, you know, near water, and one tree that grows in the desert, away from water. He says, look at the tree that grows where there's water. So much water. You will see that tree is so weak that if a wind comes, it will be knocked down. But that tree that grows in the desert where there is no water and it has to work hard to get its water, you see it becomes so strong that nothing can knock it down. Gave the example so that he explains human beings. My friends, human greatness. Look through history and you will see. Every history that you can see, Islamic, non-Islamic, doesn't matter. Human history is witness that greatness is achieved not through ease and comfort. It is achieved through hardship and hard work. That's how it's achieved. Not through, not doing anything. We don't achieve anything with that. That's the reason if we want to lead an Islamic life, we need to know that. And Allah gives us problems because of this reason. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala. Alright, so I just stop there on that point. The third reason Allah gives problems is so that it can remove the decay and rotting that's happening inside of us and make us useful by being occupied with hard work. Okay, number 4. The fourth reason why Allah gives problems to us is that it is the way for us to reach greatness, to grow, to develop. We have to go through challenges to develop. It says, "In the ta'aqub al-shada'id tadharu fada'il al-insan." He says, with the continuous shada'id, difficulties, is the growth and the fadail of human beings. Only with these hardships do these great things happen, that we become great, that we grow. If you don't get hardship, just leave a child at ease and say, "Hey, listen kid, I want you to play your games 24/7. Alright? This, all your childhood. Let me see who stops you." What's going to happen to that child? What do you think is going to happen to that child? You're going to spoil him to the extent that he is worthless. It was hardships that made him, difficulties, going through challenges, going through the difficulty of learning and giving exams and passing those exams, that made him an adult, a responsible adult. That's what made him like that. And this is just our nature. We only grow through challenges. If we don't have challenges, we don't grow. And that's the thing. For example, why is it an adult, a child who has grown up here in America, and has become religious and doesn't eat haram meat? He doesn't eat haram food. Why? Because every day in his childhood he went to a school where haram meat was being served and he said no to it. He said no to it, no to it, no to it. He challenged himself and that became a part of him. Now he knows that. And then you see these Muslims who come from Saudi Arabia or these places, right away they start eating haram meat. Without any problems, they start going to McDonald's. At the airport, they don't even wait until they get out of the airport. At the airport, they start eating haram. Because to them, it's not about haram and halal. They never chose halal. They just went out and ate. It's another thing that everything there is halal. They never chose to do halal. But here, when a person chooses halal, you see that it becomes a part of him. He starts growing from that and he can easily say no to it. No, I don't want it. I'll go vegan. I don't want it. It's not a big deal. But for those people, not having meat is like, a catastrophe. And this is the problem. Why? They haven't grown. They haven't been challenged. People who are challenged, they become stronger in life. There's a couplet by Allama Iqbal in Urdu. I don't know the Urdu, right, of that exactly, but you all can help me. He says that, speaks to the eagle and says, "Oh eagle, don't be afraid of the winds that oppose you. These winds are there to make you fly higher." Understand that? These winds are there to make you fly higher. Don't be afraid of them. These challenges are coming that Allah sends to us. These are there to make you stronger, make you better. Don't be afraid of them. Welcome them. Welcome them, knowing that this is going to take you higher. And this is the idea behind challenges and difficulties. Why does Allah do that? Because that's the only way for us to grow and to become great. That's the only way it happens, my friends. And that's why Allah sends difficulties to us. The fourth reason. And now one more reason I'll mention, and that is it for today. The fifth reason why Allah sends problems to us is in this hadith that says, "Ma min baliyatin illa wallahi fiha ni'matun uhitu fiha." He says, there is no bala that comes to you, there is no difficulty that comes to you, except that Allah has hidden a blessing behind it. There is a blessing that is behind it that's coming. Whenever you are in problems, you should know that this problem is coming. Right after that is a blessing coming. For the people of Milwaukee, when you're in winter, you can tell yourself spring is around the corner. This difficulty is going to go away soon. It's coming there. It's never going to stay. Why? Because whenever Allah gives you a difficulty, a hardship, you see that there is something that's coming after it. That is a blessing of Allah. Whatever problem you will face in life, you will see there's a blessing after it. We don't see that. We don't have the wisdom to see that. But Allah showed that to us or told that to us in Quran. If you all know the story, just let me mention it to you. You heard the story about Musa and Khidr, right? Surah Kahf. Musa and Khidr. And Musa meets Khidr and they go on a walk, and then Khidr starts to do things that Musa doesn't agree with. Well, you know that Khidr is also a prophet of Allah, and he is going with another prophet of Allah, and he goes there, and then he makes a hole in one boat, and then he kills a child, and then he builds a wall to help Zalimeen, apparently. Right? So now what happened, Musa obviously, in his knowledge, obviously is completely against it. Is how can you destroy someone's property? He doesn't know. Well, how can you kill a child? No. How can you help Zalimeen? That was the worst one. Killing the child was okay, but helping Zalimeen, that can't be. And that was the end of it. Then he couldn't handle it after that. If you are helping the Zalimeen, you know what? There's nothing that can make you good. So Musa obviously did not understand what Khidr was doing. What Khidr was doing is something that happens every day in our life in a realm called ghaib. See, when we say yu'minuna bil ghaib, in ghaib, this is what's happening. Someone dies, what happened? Someone took his life. An angel of death came and took his life. Khidr came and killed that child. So now let me just explain to you how that works. Let's say the parents are there and they have a small child. Now that small child is killed by Khidr. Now the parents didn't know that Khidr came and killed them. All they know is that he drowned in the swimming pool. All they know that he went to the swimming pool and drowned there. So obviously the parents are devastated. They're devastated. They lost their child. They don't know what's going to happen later. Right now what they know is that they lost their child and they're going to live with that grief and pain for many years. Now, Khidr says that Allah plans to give them another child. That child came later, much later. But for many years they cried. And then that child came. You see, my friends, Allah, when He takes something from you or gives you difficulty, there's something coming. That's in Allah's plan and wisdom. We can't understand it. We just need to rely on Allah and say, Allah, you are the one in charge. And I know that you will never do wrong with me. Because I am your creation. You will not do wrong with me. If you did this to me, there's a reason behind it. Having that husn al-dhan with Allah is very important. Allah gives difficulties so that we can increase our husn al-dhan with Allah. That trust in Allah. That Allah, you did this, I know there's something else behind this. There's a reason for it. And that is how it works. Why does Allah give these problems? It could be any of these for us. If we start thinking about it, then we might find solutions in our life to see why am I getting the problems I got. And it will help us to live our life in a better way, to understand things in a better way, and not get devastated by problems that now we're like, I don't care about anyone, I lost everything, and you know what, it's my way or the highway. That's what happens to people who don't know how to manage problems in their life. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. You know, Allah took a lot of things away from Imam Hussain that Imam Hussain loved. He took a lot of things away from Imam Hussain that he loved so much. Before you understand this, you need to know who Imam Hussain is. You know, because a lot of times we hear these things and we don't understand them because we equate Imam Hussain to ourselves. You need to know what kind of a personality is Imam Hussain. What kind of a person is he? You see, Imam Hussain was a person who had immense love for everyone around him. You know, there are certain people who have so much love for everyone around them, his heart would go out to everyone. To everyone. You know, he is like Allah's rahmat. Rahmatun lillahi wasi'ah. Rahmatullahi al-wasi'ah was a term that ulama used for Imam Hussain. That he is Allah's broad mercy who accepts everyone. And that's how he was. Everyone around him, he loved them very much. This is Imam Hussain. Just look at that. So when you take someone that he loved away, it's painful for him. You know, the more you love someone, the more pain you have of losing him. So Allah took a lot of things away from Imam Hussain. The first thing Allah took away from Imam Hussain was Rasulullah. He took away his grandfather. And Imam Hussain was very close to Rasulullah. He was very close to Rasulullah. I mean, he loved Rasulullah so much. Rasulullah also loved him. And Imam Hussain loved him so much. The first thing Allah took away from Hussain was his grandfather. And right after he takes his grandfather, Allah took his mother. And Imam Hussain loved Bibi Fatima, his mother. In fact, Bibi Fatima, in her wasiyat to Imam Ali, told him, said to him, that listen, take care of my children, but be very careful with Hussain. Especially Hussain, take care of him so much. Because he's going to miss me a lot. Because Hussain is someone who has so much love for everyone around. So Allah took Bibi Fatima away. Second thing he took. Then Imam Hussain had his father. And so Imam Hussain showered his love on his father. So much love he gave to his father. And then a time came that Allah took his father away. That time in Ramadan where Imam Ali became shaheed and Hussain lost his father. Now Hussain, everyone that Hussain had loved, Allah is taking away from him. Allah is taking away from Hussain. It is at this point Imam Hussain made a dua. He made a dua to Allah. And Allah mentions that dua in Surah Ahqaf. He mentions that dua. Go and read it there. Ayat number 15. It is the dua of Imam Hussain that he makes there. Imam Hussain made a dua. That Allah, all of these people you're taking away from me. You took my grandfather, you took my mother, and you took my father away from me. So Allah says, you know, I took it away, I gave you difficulties, I made you go through pain and suffering. Hussain, I'm going to give you something that you can shower your love on that day. I will give you something that you will shower that love. So in lieu of Rasulullah, in lieu of Bibi Fatima, in lieu of Imam Ali, after the Shahadat of Imam Ali, Allah gave a gift to Imam Hussain who was called Ali Akbar. Who was called Ali Akbar. He said, Hussain, take this Ali Akbar, and whatever love you had for Rasulullah, give it to Ali Akbar. Whatever love you had for Fatima, give it to Ali Akbar. Whatever love you had for Imam Ali, give it to Ali Akbar. Shower him with love, Hussain. Shower. I want you to shower him with love. Love him so much. Get so attached to him. Create such a bond that bond has never been seen between a father and son. Go and get that much and fall that much in love with Ali Akbar. I give it to you. He made Ali Akbar look like Rasulullah. See what Allah is doing to Imam Hussain. Allah is doing this to Imam Hussain. He made him look like Rasulullah. So Hussain now loved and respected him more because every time he looked at him reminds of Rasulullah. He gave him this resemblance of everything that has to do with everything Hussain loved. And then even after that, he made Ali Akbar be raised by Bibi Zainab. Bibi Zainab raised Ali Akbar because Zainab did not have children till then, and Imam Hussain already had a child, Imam Zainul Abidin. So when Ali Akbar was born, so Bibi Zainab came to Imam Hussain and said, would you allow me to raise this child for you? I don't have any children in my house. Imam Hussain gave Ali Akbar to Bibi Zainab, and Bibi Zainab raised Ali Akbar. And this was a means by which Hussain loves Ali Akbar more. You know why? Because all his life, the other children, Imam Hussain would be talking them, they would ask Imam Hussain for things and he would give them things. But Ali Akbar never asked Imam Hussain for anything because everything he wanted, he got from Bibi Zainab. Bibi Zainab used to fulfill all his wishes. So now Hussain fell more in love with Ali Akbar. Now you see this. Allah in every way is making Hussain fall in love with Ali Akbar. He wants him to love him so much that Hussain, one day I'm going to ask you to sacrifice him. Get attached to him. One day I will ask you to sacrifice him, Hussain, and you should let him go. You should let him go, my friend. This was Hussein's way. This was Hussein's place and sacrifice Hussain gave. Hussain, I want you to perform that Zibh Azim that's going to happen. That mankind should see and everyone should know what this is. Ali Akbar would become the Zibh Azim and Hussain would be the sacrificer. And so that day came on Ashura. On Ashura, when the time came and the companions died, and Ali Akbar was now the first one from Bani Hashim, and Ali Akbar came to Imam Hussain and said, Father, allow me to go now. And without any hesitation, Hussain said, go my son, go. You can go. And Hussain, Ali Akbar right away was getting on the horse, and he heard his father say, wait a minute, Ali Akbar, where are you going? He said, you told me to go. He said, not like this. You are Ali Akbar, not like this. First you go and meet your aunt Zainab. Get permission from her. Get permission from her. Get izn from her first. You see, for Ali Akbar, the battlefield was very easy. The army was easy to face. But facing Zainab, facing his aunt Zainab was difficult for Ali Akbar. He now doesn't know how to tell her that he is going. So he comes to the tent, stands outside the tent, and then makes a plan. He needs to get a yes from her before he can go. So he opens the drape and sees that Bibi Zainab is sitting on the ground. As soon as he sees her there, he goes and puts his head on the lap of Bibi Zainab. He puts his head on the lap of Bibi Zainab. Bibi Zainab starts to play with his hair, fondle his hair. And then Ali Akbar asks a simple question. He says, Aunt Zainab, I want to ask you a question. He says, what is it, my son? He said, tell me, are you more important? Is Bibi Fatima more important or are you more important? Who is greater, you or Fatima? And Zainab said, what are you saying? Of course Fatima. Who is this? Zainab is a Kaniz of Fatima. Zainab is a Kaniz of Fatima. And then Ali Akbar said, then are you willing to sacrifice your son for the son of Fatima? When Zainab hears that, he says, if you say it this way, then go. I want to sacrifice you. For Hussain, I will sacrifice anything. Ali Akbar came out, and Imam Hussain, when he now put Ali Akbar on the horse, sat him on the horse on the saddle, and Ali Akbar was going there to the battlefield, it is said that Imam Hussain was walking behind the horse. He was just walking behind the horse. Ali Akbar looked back and he saw that Hussain is walking behind and said, Father, you gave me the permission to go. Why are you following me? He says, Ali Akbar, you don't know what it means to lose a son like you. You don't know. You came in lieu of Rasulullah, in lieu of Fatima. It's like everyone is leaving together now. Everyone is going away from me together. You are the one I showered everyone's love on. And then when Ali Akbar left, Imam Hussain said, Allah be a witness that I'm sending someone to the battlefield who in every way looks like your Rasulullah, who looks like my grandfather Rasulullah. Ali Akbar goes in. I will just say one thing here. Just one thing here so you can imagine this, my friends. What it is that Hussain is going through. Not the whole story, you know that. But what is Hussain going through? You know, Hussain had so much love for Ali Akbar that anything Ali Akbar would ask, he would do. He would do that. And so a time came that Allah wanted to see this and to make it harder for Hussain. So he sent Ali Akbar back. Ali Akbar came back from the battlefield. When Hussain saw Ali Akbar coming back, he came forward to meet him and said, son, what happened? Why did you leave the battlefield? He said, no one wants to fight me. They're all running away from me. They don't want to come near me. What can I do? And then Ali Akbar said, if I had some water, then you would see that I would go after them. Father, if I can get some water from somewhere. First time, my friends, in his life that Ali Akbar is asking Hussain for something. He's asking Hussain for something and Hussain is unable to fulfill his wish. He's unable to fulfill his wish. So Hussain tells him, come close to me and take my tongue and take whatever moisture I have on my tongue. Suck it out of my tongue. Ali Akbar came close to him, but all of a sudden he stepped back and with a shriek and said, Father, you're thirstier than I am. You have thorns on your tongue. You have thorns on your tongue. Look at you. Look at you. My question here is, and this is where musibat comes in, and you can cry for Hussain, and the musibat Hussain is going through right at this point. You see, my friend, the first time Ali Akbar is asking him for something, all the trip from Medina to Makkah, Makkah to Karbala, Hussain was very careful because Hussain loves everyone. You see, this is Hussain. He loves everyone. So every time he felt love for Ali Akbar and wanted to kiss him, wanted to grab him and embrace him, every time he went close to him, he saw Qasim is looking at him. And Qasim is yatim. He didn't want Qasim to have that pain that my father is not here. Otherwise he would kiss me like Hussain is kissing Ali Akbar. Hussain stayed away from Ali Akbar. When Ali Akbar came back and asked for water, Hussain had so much love for Ali Akbar at that point that he says, come and take it. Even though Hussain knows he has nothing to offer. Even though Hussain knows he has nothing to give Ali Akbar. But when Ali Akbar came close to him, Hussain grabbed him and started kissing him. Started to kiss him and said, my son, what can an old father do to come and show his love for his son? It was hard for Hussain, but Allah says, Hussain, let him go. Let him go to the battlefield. I want to see how you sacrifice him so I can make you an example. That time came when Ali Akbar fell to the ground. This is it. Imam Hussain came next to him, saw Ali Akbar. Ali Akbar is on the ground. There's a spear in his chest. Ali Akbar is unable to speak. There's blood in his throat. He can't say anything. Every time he speaks, blood is splitting out of his mouth. Hussain sees that. He sees the pain Ali Akbar is in. He says, is this what's there bothering you? He sees the spear. He looks at the spear in the chest. That's stuck in the chest. You see, here's what happened. Now Hussain knows, if he takes the spear out, Ali Akbar will die. If he takes it out, Ali Akbar will die. So now the test came. Hussain put his hand on the spear and then started pulling that spear out. The same way Ibrahim and Ismail were there. But the difference is that Ibrahim had a blindfold on. His hands were shaking. But Hussain, neither did he wear a blindfold, neither was his hand shaking. When Hussain started pulling on that spear from the chest, which was stuck in the bones, he started pulling it. Ali Akbar started kicking the ground like a sheep would kill the ground when you slaughter the sheep. سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. يا محمود حق محمد، يا الله بحق علي، يا فاطر السماوات بحق فاطر، يا محسن بحق الحسن، يا قديم الإحسان بحق الحسين. Allah give us the tawfiq to be on the right path, wisdom to understand, guidance, hasten the reappearance of our Imam, make us his helper when he comes. Allah, we ask you to increase the love of Ahlul Bayt in our hearts and in the hearts of our children. Allah, we ask you that give us the strength in our hands to hold up the flag of Islam and the flag of Hazrat Abbas. Allah, we ask you to make our feet firm on your path so that we reach Imam Mahdi. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. ماتم Hussain. Ya 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 Hussain
अजीब वक्त पड़ा है निदा है सर पे ना साहिबा अजीब वक्त पड़ा है निदा है सर पे ना साहिबा अजीब वक्त पड़ा है निदा है सर ना साहिबा गरीब हो गई ज़ैनब गरीब हो गई ज़ैनब हुसैन बावैला अजीब वक्त पड़ा है सीधा है सर पे ना साहिबा अजीब वक्त पड़ा है सीधा है सर ना साहिबा फख्र इस्मत जिसका लक़ब था वो हया की थी शहज़ादी लुट गया है घर बार उसका छिन गई है उसकी रिदा भी गरीब हो गई ज़ैनब गरीब हो गई ज़ैनब हुसैन बावैला अजीब वक्त पड़ा है रिदा है सर पे ना साहिबा अजीब वक्त पड़ा है रिदा है सर पे ना साहिबा रो रही है आले मुहम्मद बज रहे हैं मकतल में ताशे मैंने सुनकर सैलानियों पे कांप उठते मकतल में लाशे गरीब हो गई ज़ैनब गरीब हो गई ज़ैनब हुसैन बावैला अजीब वक्त पड़ा है रिदा है सर ना साहिबा अजीब वक्त पड़ा है रिदा है सर पे ना साहिबा सर झुका के ये बहन करके रो रहा है खुद आसमां भी नौजवान थी जिसकी जवानी मर गया वो करियल जवाबी गरीब हो गई ज़ैनब गरीब हो गई ज़ैनब
पड़ा है, रिदा है सर पे ना साहिबां, अजीब वक्त पड़ा है, रिदा है सर पे ना साहिबां। तश्ना लब वो गिलता लहू में, सो रहे हैं खामोश रंग में, इनसे रोशन ज़ैनब का घर था, सो गए हैं वो चांद बन के, गरीब हो गई ज़ैनब, गरीब हो गई ज़ैनब, हुसैन वावेला, अजीब वक्त पड़ा है, रिदा है सर पे साहिबां, अजीब वक्त पड़ा है, रिदा है सर पे साहिबां। अंबिया भी रन में तड़प कर रहे हैं ये आहुजारी, कोई महमल है ना हमारी, आए गैरत ऐसी सवारी, गरीब हो गई ज़ैनब, गरीब हो गई ज़ैनब, हुसैन वावेला, अजीब वक्त पड़ा है, रिदा है सर पे ना साहिबां, अजीब वक्त पड़ा है, रिदा है सर पे ना साहिबां। हर जानिब हसरत से हाय, देखती है ज़हरा की बेटी, हंस रहे हैं सब शाम वाले, रो रही है ज़ैनब अकेली, गरीब हो गई ज़ैनब, गरीब हो गई ज़ैनब, हुसैन वावेला, अजीब वक्त पड़ा है, रिदा है सर पे ना साहिबां, अजीब वक्त पड़ा है, रिदा है सर पे ना साहिबां, रिदा है सर पे ना भाई का सर पे साया है, रिदा है सर पे ना भाई का सर पे साया है, इलाही खैर हो बाजार शाम आया है, इलाही खैर हो बाजार शाम आया है, रिदा है सर पे ना भाई का सर पे साया है, इलाही खैर हो बाजार शाम आया है, इलाही खैर हो बाजार शाम आया है, रिदा है सर पे ना भाई घर पे साया है, जवाब दो मुझे इंसाफ से मुसलमानों, ये किस नबी के नवासे का सर है पहचानो, सेना की नोक पे किस जुर्म में चढ़ाया है, इलाही खैर हो बाजार शाम आया है, इलाही खैर हो बाजार शाम आया है, रिदा है सर पे ना भाई का सर पे साया है, रिदा है सर पे ना भाई का सर पे साया है, पुकारती है ये फिजा कहाँ गए अब्बास, बुलाए आदरो कासिम को कोई मेरे पास, रसूल ज़ादी को बल दे मैं शेम्र लाया है। इलाही खैर हो बाजार शाम आया है। इलाही खैर हो बाजार शाम आया है। विदा है सैफिना भाई का सर पे साया है। विदा है सैफिना भाई का सर पे साया है। सकी फात थी जो दिल में लगी, वही तो बला में है फूट कर निकली। उसी ने आले मोहम्मद घर जलाया है। इलाही खैर हो बाजार शाम आया है। इलाही खैर हो बाजार शाम आया है। दामन मनहारी अकबर तू नायो। मनता मनहारी अकबर तू नायो। मनता मनहारी अकबर तू नायो। मनता मनहारी अकबर तू नायो। है सदके महवारी अकबर तू नायो। मैं सदके महवारी अकबर तू नायो। दामन मनहारी अकबर तू नायो। दामन मनहारी अकबर तू नायो। जीरा भेड़ा दाबाद बिरावा दे। जीरा भेड़ा दाबाद बिरावा दे। हाय रुल गई भैन बिहारी अकबर तू नायो। रुल गई भैन बिहारी अकबर तू नायो। दामन मनहारी अकबर तू नायो। दामन मनहारी अकबर तू नायो। दामन मनहारी अकबर तू नायो। मैं सदके महवारी अकबर तू नायो। मैं सदके महवारी अकबर तू नायो। आने दे रोज़े पे जाके रात दिने। आने दे रोज़े पे जाके रात दिने। हाय रो रो अर्ज़ गुजारी अकबर तू नायो। रो रो अर्ज़ गुजारी अकबर तू नायो। दामन मनहारी अकबर तू नायो। दामन मनहारी अकबर तू नायो। है सदके महवारी अकबर तू नायो। है सदके महवारी अकबर तू नायो। दामन मनहारी अकबर तू नायो। दामन मनहारी अकबर तू नायो। दूंगी शाम पागे अकबर सुगरा नो। दूंगी शाम पागे अकबर सुगरा नो। हाय रुल गई भैन प्यारी अकबर तू नायो। रुल गई भैन प्यारी अकबर तू नायो। मन दामन मनहारी अकबर तू नायो। दामन मनहारी अकबर तू नायो। है सदके महवारी अकबर तू नायो। मैं सदके महवारी अकबर तू नायो। मनता मन मनहारी अकबर तू नायो। गुजारी रोज़े ना सालिम बरछी मारी अकबर तू ना आयो, सालिम बरछी मारी अकबर तू ना आयो, मनता मन हारी अकबर तू ना आयो, मनता मन हारी अकबर तू ना आयो, मैं सदके मैं वारी अकबर तू ना आयो, मैं सदके मैं वारी अकबर तू ना आयो, मनता मन हारी अकबर तू ना आयो, मनता मन हारी अकबर तू ना आयो, बाबे विच वेखी डोरी झूले थी, बाबे विच वेखी डोरी झूले थी, हाय रह गया झूला खाली असगर तू ना आयो, रह गया झूला खाली असगर तू ना आयो, मनता मन हारी अकबर तू ना आयो, मनता मन हारी अकबर तू ना आयो, हुसैन या 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 हुसैन दीदा ज़ैनब खड़ी है, शाम का दरबार है, दीदा ज़ैनब खड़ी है, शाम का दरबार है, दीदा ज़ैनब खड़ी है, शाम का दरबार है, आलमे गुरबत में आले अहमदे मुख्तार है, अब न लश्कर है न आबा से अलम्बरदार है, हाय क्या बदली हुई अब वक्त की रफ्तार है, हाय क्या बदली हुई अब वक्त की रफ्तार है, सामने रखा हुआ फर्क़े शहे अबरार है, मेरी ज़ैनब खड़ी है, शाम का दरबार है, मेरी ज़ैनब खड़ी है, शाम का दरबार है, जुल्म है कुर्सी नशी कुन बानबी का है खड़ा, और एक बीमार है जंजीर में जकड़ा हुआ है, रस्म में सबके शाने और सकीना का गला है, रस्म में सबके शाने और सकीना का गला, हाय बच्ची के लिए अब सांस लेना बार है, मेरी ज़ैनब खड़ी है, शाम का दरबार है, मेरी ज़ैनब खड़ी है, शाम का दरबार है, दश्त में रखा हुआ है बाप का सर सामने, सांस रुकती है तड़पती है जो बाहर सामने, खून में डूबे हुए हैं कितने मंजर सामने, खून में डूबे हुए हैं कितने मंजर सामने, किस कदर ज़ख्मी निगाहें आबिदे बीमार है, मेरी ज़ैनब खड़ी है, शाम का दरबार है, मेरी ज़ैनब खड़ी है, शाम का दरबार है। गमज़दा मातर की आँखों में अंधेरा छा गया, नौजवान बेटे का सर दरबार में लाया गया। जाने लैला से ये मंजर किस तरह देखा गया, जाने लैला से ये मंजर किस तरह देखा गया। कैसी गुर्बत में शबी है अहमद मुख्तार है, मेरी ज़ैनब खड़ी है, शाम का दरबार है। मेरी ज़ैनब खड़ी है, शाम का दरबार है। वो अली असगर का जैसे कोई ताज़ा हो कली, वो अली असगर का जैसे कोई ताज़ा है कली। मादरे बेशीर के जिस दम नजर उस पर पड़ी, गोद में लेकर सुलाने की तमन्ना जाग उठी, गोद में लेकर सुलाने की तमन्ना जाग उठी। हाथ रस्सी में बंधे हैं, माँ बहुत लाचार है, मेरी ज़ैनब खड़ी है, शाम का दरबार है। मेरी ज़ैनब खड़ी है, शाम का दरबार है। हर घड़ी नजरों के आगे एक क़यामत है नहीं, सर भाई के बहन है नजर की ठहरी हुई। हर घड़ी नजरों के आगे एक क़यामत है नहीं, सर भाई के बहन की नजर है ठहरी हुई। होंठ पर शबीर के और दस्त में जालिम छड़ी, होंठ पर शबीर के और दस्त में जालिम छड़ी। ये बहन के दिल पर एक चलती हुई तलवार है, मेरी ज़ैनब खड़ी है, शाम का दरबार है। मेरी ज़ैनब खड़ी है, शाम शाह सलाम नले, शाह सलाम नले, शाह सलाम नले, शाह सलाम नले, शबीर शफर सलाम, शाह सलाम नले, शबीर शफर सलाम, शाह सलाम नले, जन्ने मुजाहिद सलाम, शाह सलाम नले, दोनों मोहम्मद सलाम, शाह सलाम नले, जन्नब बुलबुल सलाम, शाह सलाम नले, मुर्रे दिलावर सलाम, शाह सलाम नले, मक्के सकीना सलाम, शाह सलाम नले, दोनों मोहम्मद सलाम, शाह सलाम नले, शाह सलाम नले, शाह सलाम नले। गौसे 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 गौसे
अस्सलामु अलैका या रसूल अल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या हबीब अल्लाह, या खैर खल्क़िल्लाह व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। अस्सलामु अलैका या अमीर अल-मुमिनीन या अली इब्न अबी तालिब, अस्सलामु अलैका या फातिमा ज़हरा सय्यदत निसाइल आलमीन, अस्सलामु अलैका या हसन अल-मुज्तबा, अस्सलामु अलैका या अबा अब्दुल्लाह व अला अल-अरवाह अल्लती हल्लत बिफ़नाइक, अलैका मिन्नी सलामुल्लाहि अबदन मा बक़ीतु व बक़िया अल-लैल वन-नहार वला जअलहु अल्लाहु आखिरल अहदि मिन्नी लिज़ियारतिकुम। अस्सलामु अलल हुसैन व अला अली इब्न हुसैन व अला औलादिल हुसैन व अला ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليكم يا أئمة المعصومين من ولد الحسين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي عليهم الصلاة والسلام. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان. السلام عليك يا إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك. السلام عليكم جميع المعصومين ورحمة الله وبركاته.
اللهم صل على محمد وآله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آله في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Recite 5 times Amma Yaji for all the Mu'min and Mu'minat who are sick
And
especially are in trouble.
and for the safety of Tamam Shiane Haidar Karrar, please recite Amma Yajib. Bismillah.
الرحمن أما يجيب أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. 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 اللهم صل على محمد.
وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات ومن مات على الهدى والإيمان، بالخصوص إلى أرواح أموات جماعتنا الحاضرين، وبالخصوص إلى روح مرحومة منير أختر, mother of our community member Brother Shahid, and for especially for روح the brother of مولانا بيك. نهدي للجميع ثواب سورة المباركة الفاتحة تسبقها الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
There's another request for Fatiha for Marhuma Akila Begum, Binte Mir Imdad Hussain, who is the mother of the Muharram. Please recite the Surah Fatiha for yourself.
नारे तकबीर,
Allahu Akbar.
नारे रिसालत,
Ya Rasulullah.
Nae Haidari!
Ya Ali.
Labbaika ya Hussain!
Labbaika ya Hussain.
Labbaika ya Hussain!
Labbaika ya Hussain.
Labbaika ya Hussain!
Labbaika ya Hussain.
Labbaika ya Mahdi!
Labbaika ya Mahdi.
Labbaika ya Mahdi!
Labbaika ya Mahdi.
Labbaika ya Mahdi!
Labbaika ya Mahdi.
By Zuhur Imam Zaman for Khalus Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.